Honorable Men Discord. Fat Joe shared a story about Young Buck. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop daily episodes at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So let's get straight to it. On the Joe and Jada podcast, they had Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda as guests, and Fat Joe thought it was a good time to share a story about Young Buck. Now, there's a lot of thoughts that I have on this particular topic, and one of the things that I have that I'd like to talk about is old friendships, old camaraderies. All right. Now, if you're unfamiliar about what Fat Joe had to say, first take a look at this video, and then we're going to talk about it further.
You know, I caught Young Buck in that time.
Oh, shit.
I never heard that story.
You know he ain't going to tell 50 that?
Yeah, caught Young Buck.
He ain't going to tell 50.
Man, he got two-piece legend. Like,
Oh, shit.
yeah, Young Buck, man. That nigga tried to front on me. He said, bro, I'm telling you.
They put hands on Buck.
I'm telling you.
Supposed to be no head.
No.
Oh,
All right.
man. So what
No
happened?
story, or you want the story?
I want the story.
I
Buck never told
I
it.
never heard
Nigga.
this.
I'm out of
You know what I'm saying? So I'm getting off the stage, and it's dumb dark. Like, it's mad dark. And there was somebody up on the second thing. He was like, yo, crack. But I just got off stage. I'm ripping it down. Chicago. I'm walking out and says, yo, crack. You hear me, nigga? I look up.
Oh.
It's Young Buck. I got a water bottle in my hand. Like, fuck out of here. I throw the water bottle up there. I said, come down, pussy. Come down, pussy.
Damn.
Like, come down, pussy.
Damn.
Yo, I'm going crazy.
Oh.
You know, I don't never get like,
So when he came down,
I don't know. I don't get tested. Like, it's very hard to test me. Yeah, yo, I'm telling you, I'm going.
Come on, man.
I just black out. So I'm waiting for the nigga. The nigga up there, he got to come down the staircase, right? So I'm losing my mind, right? Like, yo, come there. Come. He had a bunch of niggas with him, too. A bunch of Chicago dudes with him, right? So the cops come and they form like a barricade. Like, there's like 5 cops. They closed the staircase so he won't come. He took too long to come down, by the way. Like, you know, when you see a nigga, you ready to tear him up. You down.
Get the
Yeah. He's taking too long, right? And so when he comes down, he's in the staircase and he's trying to tell me, like, yo, this ain't got nothing to do. But he was just talking crazy. He tested me to see if Fat Joe was pussy. You know, a lot of niggas is pussy. They act
Joe,
like
you
they
sure he
tough,
just
but
wasn't
you catch
saying
him.
what up? Like he said what up?
Hell no. It was at the height of the beef.
Oh.
So he's in the staircase, yo, I wasn't this and that. But he poked his head out just 1 second over the cop's thing. The nigga caught the... Come on. Niggas like, oh.
What he do?
Even the barber hit him.
So what he do?
Even the barber. Even the barber hit him?
He hit us with the my bag. Yo, it wasn't like that. This, that.
Damn.
Then we jumped. I tell you, I had the that was the
sad.
I had the ugly niggas with me.
My bad. I'm just thinking little lines again.
No, I'm just telling you. It was like his...
So that was a clip of Fat Joe sharing a story that involved Young Buck. Now, the first thing that came to mind was this type of behavior is exactly why I like having a small circle. I don't agree with any of this. Now, Fat Joe can do what he wants. He's a grown man. He can share whatever story he wants. But what I don't like about this is that although things are good now between Fat Joe and G-Unit, sharing a story like that in the presence of Tony Yayo is disgusting. I think it's disgusting behavior. I stand on it 10 toes down. If you think this type of behavior is fine, let me know in the comments. I'll still disagree with you, even if you come in the comments and tell me you agree with this type of behavior. I don't like this type of behavior because, one, you're all grown. Two, Tony Ayo used to have a relationship, working relationship, however you want to put it. At one point in time, they were making money together, and I'm talking about Tony Ayo and Young Buck. So to have a discussion or to bring up a story about you allegedly assaulting, punching, however you want to word it, Young Buck, I thought it was tasteless. Like, why would you share a story like that? Now, I only saw the clip of this. Now, I didn't see the whole thing, but from the clip, it didn't seem as though Tony Ayo was laughing at the matter. It seemed like it was comical for Uncle Murda, but Uncle Murda, he's not even a G-Unit member. He's someone who 50 Cent has been bringing along on tour as a hype man, and he's making his money through show money, which is good for him. But I just don't like the idea of sharing an old story about an old G-Unit member, especially one that we all know as fans from the outsider looking, as an outsider looking in. We knew that Young Buck appeared to be very loyal to G-Unit. So it's kind of tasteless. I don't really care what went wrong between Young Buck and 50 Cent. From what they put out there in the public, it was always a financial issue with Young Buck and his mismanagement of money. But I'm not here to talk about Young Buck's money. I'm here to talk about the fact that he was a G-Unit member. He left because I guess he was kicked out of G-Unit, but he came back for a short stint, and then he ended up being kicked out again, if I'm not mistaken. But he was one of the members out of G-Unit. Well, all of them were valuable to G-Unit, but he was a valuable member to G-Unit because he had a lot of great verses on the songs. Now, you could disagree with me on that one, but Young Buck, his energy, he brought something refreshing to G-Unit, because G-Unit members were New Yorkers outside of the game, coming from California, which his connection was pretty much through Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. But then you had Young Buck representing the South. It was refreshing to have the variety in G-Unit. And to share a story like this, I don't like it, because it's also like kicking a man when he's down. We know Young Buck is not as successful as he was when he was with G-Unit. We could agree to disagree, but it's a fact. I think Young Buck himself would say that career-wise, music-wise, the height of his career was whilst he was with G-Unit. And I know he was very grateful for being with G-Unit, because I think he had mentioned at one point in time he was aligned with Cash Money, or he was in that circle, or but he was never put on per se to the level that he was put on when he aligned himself with G-Unit and 50 Cent. So again, knowing that G-Unit is now, 50 Cent, Tony Ayo, which are representatives of G-Unit, now that everything is cool, and that they, you can see Fat Joe at courtside with 50 Cent, you can see Tony Ayo on the couch with Fat Joe, I think that's a great thing. I like seeing stuff like that. I'd rather that than see violence among grown men, violence among any men, especially men that are making money, substantial amount of money, men that are successful in their own right. I think I'd rather see this. I'd rather see them sharing stories about hip hop moments. But to share this particular story, I didn't like that Fat Joe shared that. Now, if you disagree with me, I'm waiting for you in the comment section, and tell me how this was a story that should have been told in at all, when there's no longer any issues. Now, if it was a funny story where it was like maybe him and Yayo, maybe if it was a story about Fat Joe and Buck, where it was a funny moment, where it wasn't a moment of him trying to share a story of humiliating Young Buck, that would be something totally different. But this story is like, why are you sharing that in front of Tony Ayo? You put Tony Ayo in a weird position. Now, he might say it's not a weird position, but to me it's a weird position, because he may still be cool with Young Buck, although that Young Buck is no longer part of G-Unit. You don't know that. Why would you share a story like that? And then for Young Buck, it's possible he could feel some type of way about Tony Ayo, because Tony Ayo didn't necessarily say, "Nah, I can't partake in this." I don't know what anyone's thoughts is out there, but for me, and this would come down to whether or not Tony Ayo has a relationship with Young Buck, if they have any type of friendship outside of recording music. I would say, listen, the man, you know, although he's not with the group anymore, he's not part of G Unit, that was a solid dude. And, you know, I can't partake in hearing stories like this. I'd rather not hear these type of stories. He could have said something. And again, if you disagree with what I'm saying on this, I'll see you in the comments. But he could have said something. Like, this kind of stuff is just, this is childish. They're too grown for this, man. And this is what I'm trying to bring out with some of these episodes. This type of behavior, we're too grown. And I'm putting myself in that, in this situation, in this episode, because I represent an older generation, and it's like this can't be the behavior of the generation I'm in and the generation before me. This can't be the behavior, and if it is, obviously it might be the behavior of some, because it's been made public by Fat Joe on his podcast. This is what he's choosing to talk about with his platform. If this is the behavior, this is exactly why I like to keep my circle small. I don't need to be around a bunch of men. I don't need to be liked by a group of men, because when things go left, this is the type of behavior that transpires at this age. Fat Joe's in his 50s. I could only imagine Young Buck is near his 50s. Maybe Young Buck is around my age. I don't know his age. I didn't look it up. But this is just this is what you're choosing to talk about? Young Buck hasn't been bothering anyone to my knowledge. And if I'm wrong in that, let me know in the comments. Why are you bringing up a story about Young Buck? As successful as Fat Joe is, being able, and blessed as Fat Joe is, to be able to sit courtside at Knicks games, have a platform with Jada, why are you talking about Young Buck? Young Buck is bothering no one. And even if he was, unfortunately for him, his brand isn't as relevant as it was when it was on G Unit. And I say that respectfully. So why would you bring somebody up like that to throw dirt on their name when they're already not as successful as you are, Fat Joe? I don't like this. But let me go into this next video that I came across. This is Young Buck's DJ, who said he was there at the time of the alleged event that Fat Joe claims happened. So this is Young Buck's DJ. So let's take a listen to this and then we'll talk about it.
Hey, yo, what up? Hey, look, I'm DJ Don Juan, right? I was Young Buck's DJ from 2006 to like 2008. And yesterday I'm wondering why I'm seeing, this post about Fat Joe and this two-piece biscuit. And so I finally stopped and watched it today, And look, man, the majority of people I know that Joe is a percentage-wise cap. There's always like something, and then there's something. And it is what it is. I don't personally know Joe. I know cats that do. It is what it is. I'm not hating on podcasts. I'm a huge fan of Jada Kiss. You know what I'm saying? The whole joint. You see how he just kind of put the pillow over. Look, man, I love entertainment. But I was actually there at that Chicago show. And it was a lot of people. Yes, and we were up on a top tier. And I was specifically watching this. I'm not the goon, I'm the DJ. So I'm watching everything from like everybody's in front of me and I'm right there, right? I see this. I'm right there at that tunnel that comes down. What Joe is lying at is Joe pulled up at the bottom of that tunnel with 4 cops with him. Like they were surrounding him. Like there was already a tension in the air that the beef was going on and that Buck was going to be there. And Joe was moving around the whole time with police. I'm not knocking that. That's just exactly what happened. The police didn't just randomly pop up and form some type of barricade at the tunnel. They was already with him. And yes, the police did form a barricade, but they was rolling with him from the stage all the way back to his tour bus. They was there. Buck was barking from the top. The whole crew was, because Buck was down for the unit. Buck was down for 50. I know things have happened, but everywhere we went, you was not going to disrespect 50 Cent in front of Young Buck. So Buck was like, he was barking at him, right? Joe comes into view at the bottom of that tunnel and looks up at Buck and says, yo, Buck, no disrespect to you, but fuck 50. And when he said that, like Buck just turned into an animal and they just rammed down that corridor to come down. Like it was a big arena. We were in Chicago. And he starts coming down, but he can't get to him because of the police. Buck and Joe and them, as soon as Buck started coming, Joe and them took off to go to the tour buses, bro. And I swear, I don't get it. I know it's cap, and they say all, you know, news is good news or whatever for the game, for like this business that we're in. And it's funny looking at the memes and stuff like that, but two-piece biscuit where? Literally. I might as well just been the journalist. I'm the DJ. I'm not the goon, dude. Like, I'm not on the front line ready to go to war physically like that, especially at that time, right? Nowadays it's a little bit different, but back then I was very young, was new to the whole play. It's cap, bro. It's cap. Coach PR reposted it. They know other people, RP Tick, Tillin on it. It's cap, bro. Why though? And now that bring Buck up on the podcast then. Like I said, like Joe is cap, man. It's all for entertainment though. So I was actually there. I saw it with my own two eyes. No two-piece, no biscuit. Just Fat Joe with police from the moment he went on stage to the moment he came off stage and to back his tour bus, which was probably smart on his part. Because like I said, Buck was not playing no games back then when it came to anything dealing with G-Unit, 50 Cent, any of that. You know, and Buck definitely had them goons with him, them gorillas with him. And they weren't all from Chicago. They were from, some of them was from the Ville. It was with us everywhere we went. And best believe, yeah. So anyway, shout out to Buck. You know what I'm saying? Joe can keep capping. Shout out to them in their podcast. I ain't tripping, do numbers. But there was no two-piece and no biscuit. I was there.
So there you have it. I don't know what any of you think about this. I would gladly like to hear some of your opinions on this. You saw the video. If you saw the video in its entirety, Jay didn't even want to take part in it. He just laid out on the couch at one point and he threw the pillow over his head. Fat Joe, and I've said this in my earlier videos when I first started this channel, Fat Joe is very entertaining. I actually enjoy hearing his stories. I just did not like him choosing to share this story with Tony Yayo on the couch. Not even Uncle Murder. Uncle Murder was never part of G-Unit. With Tony Yayo on the couch, I didn't like him sharing this story. I wouldn't even like him sharing this story with Lloyd Banks or 50 Cent. Because at the end of the day, although things are good between Fat Joe and G-Unit now, at one point it wasn't. And why would you share an old story about when things weren't going well? And I know this is probably not the first time Fat Joe's done this. I'm pretty sure it isn't. But I think he could find other things to talk about. Especially when you're talking about somebody who's no longer affiliated with you and is not doing well for themselves financially. It's like throwing dirt on a man when he's down, and I can't respect that. And again, I like Fat Joe's, his stories. I think it's very entertaining. Does he embellish? I believe he embellishes. He does. And I think he's admitted to embellishing a little bit with the numbers and stuff like that. But based on what Young Buck's DJ is saying, they never even gotten in close proximity for any two-piece that Fat Joe's talking about to be handed out. So that's my thoughts on this. What is your thoughts? I think we have to do better as grown men, especially those that are in positions where they're financially secure and blessed. Don't throw dirt on another man's name when he's not doing well financially. It's just disgusting. We can't take any of this with us when our days are up. We can't take any of this with us. So why are we doing that? Why are we speaking like that? I don't condone any of that. I don't applaud any of that type of behavior. I wouldn't care what the artist's name is. I just call it like I see it. You don't have to agree with me, but I stand on it 10 toes down. This is not about being a fan of anyone's music or, anything like that. This is just about grown man talk. And I don't think that was called for. I don't think discussing that was called for. I think there's a lot of things you could talk about that's interesting. And you don't need to do that. But what's your thoughts on it? As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Again, if you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next episode. Stay honorable.